There's three words in the second Saturday in October every single year in the college football world that will always be meaningful. Red River Rivalry. Texas, Oklahoma, they meet in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. We're going to talk about it next here on Four Verts. This is Four Verts. My name is Harrison Graham, where we talk about NFL and college football here on a daily basis. Big storylines, my opinions, analysis, game reaction, and a whole lot more. If you want more of that, hit that subscribe button, and we've got you covered. And specifically, if you want more college football, prove it by subscribing, because we have more NFL than CFB subscribers so far. Okay, number 1 Texas versus number 18 Oklahoma. Both teams coming off a bye week. The first edition of the Red River Rivalry, as both teams are members of the SEC. But some things never change. And the second Saturday in October, every single year, these two teams meet at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas to play a 60-minute football game. There's pride on the line. There's bragging rights. And especially this year, but in a lot of years, there's meaningful moments on the line, meaningful things moving forward on the line. Texas looking to keep their unbeaten season going, looking to see stay number one overall. Oklahoma looking to get back into that college football playoff mix. This game always matters, but it definitely matters this year, as both these teams still have big goals ahead of them. Now, I think one team has a clear advantage over the other. We're going to talk about that throughout this preview, but let's get to the big injury first. Quinn Ewers, is he going to play? Is he not? The answer is yes. Steve Sarkisian announced on Thursday that his starting quarterback will re-enter the starting lineup after missing the last 2 games with a strained oblique, and that's a good thing for Texas. He was playing at a very, very high level before he suffered the injury just about a month ago, and that's what's actually pretty interesting is Ewers hasn't played in a month. In 3 games, and not even 3 full games, he's having a great season, right? Almost 700 yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks. The accuracy has been better. The decision-making's been better. He's been excellent so far this year, but the last 2.5+ games, it's been the Arch Manning show. And Arch obviously is the future of this program. He's got big aspirations as well, but I don't think he did anything to say, okay, once Ewers gets back, we're not going to go back to him. Played well, but not to the level of where you're just going to keep Quinn Ewers on the bench. But if you're Steve Sarkisian in Texas, you feel pretty good that if you have to turn to Arch or if Ewers does get hurt again, he can hold the fort down with his dual threat ability. He is a much better runner than Quinn Ewers is. But definitely a good sign for Texas to get Ewers back. And an interesting little nugget for this game this year is Texas enters as the number 1 team in the country for only the 6th time as these two teams meet up. They are 4-0-1 in prior matchups when Texas enters at number 1. I believe the last one was in the 1980s, and they tied that one. That was the lone tie. But Oklahoma has never beaten Texas when the Horns are number 1 in this matchup. Obviously, Texas hoping that trend continues, whereas Oklahoma is hoping to buck that trend and really jumpstart their season. And you look at the Sooners right here. They made a quarterback change a couple of weeks ago. Late in that Tennessee game, they turned to Michael Hawkins Jr., the true freshman. And he's got some dual threat creative ability. He's not a great thrower of the football, but Jackson Arnold wasn't getting it done, and their offensive line has been struggling. So Brent Venables turns to the freshman, and he's played in 3 games overall, just has the 1 start against Auburn, completing about 62% of his passes. The dual threat ability is there. He really can run with over 100 rushing yards so far this season. But the question is, can he keep up? Because you compare the two teams. Well, Texas has weapons all over the place. Jaden Blue out of the backfield, tons of receivers everywhere. Isaiah Bond, the lead guy, of course, and others. And a great offensive line, whereas Oklahoma has a struggling offensive line that's been beat up at times. They have their top 5 receivers who are expected to be out, and they don't really have much of a proven quarterback at this point in Michael Hawkins, whereas Quinn Ewers is very proven at this point. And Oklahoma's already the underdog. To be without their top 5 receivers who have mostly been banged up all season, just not ideal. Because while things can get weird in rivalry games, especially in this one, you're going to have to score points if you want to beat this Texas team. And I'm just not sure they've got the firepower to do it. Like, you look at Texas right now. I mentioned Jaden Blue. They've also got freshman running back Jarek Gibson. They both have over 225 yards rushing. Isaiah Bond, 20 catches, 364. Ryan Wingo, 11 catches, 247 yards. Matthew Golden has 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tight end Gunnar Helm, very good player. Whereas you look at Oklahoma, they don't have a single 200-yard rusher. Both their top running back is averaging 3.5 yards per carry, Javante Barnes. Their leading receiver is Deion Burks. He's not expected to play. He's got 201 yards. Bauer Sharp at tight end's an intriguing player, but I just, where are they going to find points? I think if Oklahoma is going to win this game and beat Texas, they're going to have to generate turnovers. And that happened last year. The teams were more evenly matched, but Texas clearly was a better team than OU last year. But OU won this game. Why? They picked off Quinn Ewers twice, and Dylan Gabriel came up clutch with a minute and a half to go and led a game-winning drive. They're going to have to get a defensive score, a special team score, something, because Dylan Gabriel ain't walking through that door. Can Michael Hawkins run wild? Like, maybe there's an outlier game where he rushes for 120 yards from the quarterback position. Something abnormal is going to have to happen because Texas just has more talent. It really is that simple. They're better at quarterback, they're better in the trenches, and they have better skill players. Quite frankly, I think Texas not only should win, they should win pretty easily. I think the spread, last time I checked, let me pull this up again. They were 14.5-point favorites. Yeah, it's where it sits now. They probably should cover that spread. Now, maybe there's a backdoor cover, or maybe it's right around 2 touchdowns. Sure, but I think Texas is 15-plus points better than Oklahoma. I really do. And that's not a shot at OU. They've had some injuries. They've had some different things, but I just don't think they're good enough. I really don't. So I'll ask you guys, who wins, Texas or Oklahoma? Let me know who wins, what the final score is going to be in your eyes. I'll go 38-24 Texas. Now, Oklahoma's defense is pretty good, so maybe they keep them in it, but I remember thinking the same thing when Texas played Michigan and Quinn Ewers had his way against that defense. I just think Steve Sarkisian is too good of a play caller. They have too many weapons, and if Ewers just takes care of the ball, something he didn't do last year but otherwise in big games has, I like Texas to put up points and to win convincingly. And quite frankly, if you're Oklahoma, if you score 24 points on offense, that's probably a win. The over-under set at 54.5. I've got it at 62, so I've got it a little higher here. But, yeah, I like Texas. I like them fairly big. I could see this being 38-17, and Texas or OU gets a backdoor cover. I really do think that they are going to have their way against Oklahoma, A, depleted team, and B, a team that just doesn't have as much talent as the Texas Longhorns do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We might do a little Texas OU recap video on Saturday. One thing that is different about the game this year, kickoff at 2:30. Historically, this game has been an 11 a.m. Central kickoff. Now it's 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern, so keep that in mind for anyone going to the game. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be quite the scene at Fair Park where the Sooners and Longhorns tee it up every single year. If you ever have a chance to go to this game, I highly recommend it. I went in 2008 when Jordan Shipley ran back that kickoff return for a touchdown, changed the whole game. Always a fun atmosphere, always an awesome matchup, and hopefully it's a good game. I don't really expect it. I think Texas is going to roll here, but I'd love to be wrong, and I'd love it to be tight late because we all love drama if we don't have a big horse in the race. So there you have it, Texas, Oklahoma. Little rapid fire on the way out. One, check out our Instagram page, @4VertsIG. Two, just quick Heisman Trophy thoughts. I would have Ashton Jeanty as the front runner, the Boise State running back. I did a full video on him here on the channel. Be sure to check that out. The numbers he's putting up are absolutely ridiculous. He's averaging 10.9 yards per carry, already has over 1,000 yards rushing in 5 games, really 4.5 because he didn't play in the second half last week. The Boise State running back is special. I would have Travis Hunter, number 2, playing both ways. Big game for Colorado against Kansas State this Saturday. A pair of 4-1 teams. Winner of that game emerges as a legitimate Big 12 contender. And then I'd go Cam Ward, number 3. The Miami quarterback has led 2 awesome comebacks the last 2 weeks. He's putting up big numbers. I think Jalen Milroe falls back after Alabama's loss to Vanderbilt, but I think you got a clear big 3 right now. Genty, Hunter, Ward. I will say this. He missed the last 2.5 games. If Quinn Ewers the next 2 weeks against Oklahoma and Georgia plays well and the Horns win both of those games, I think even though he won't have the volume of stats as some of these other players, I think he could re-enter the discussion. So we'll see how he plays this weekend, and obviously he's got to keep winning to get back into that conversation. All right, again, if you want more college football content, hit that sub button. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll probably do an Oregon-Ohio State preview as well. We'll try to at least before Saturday, so stay tuned for that. We will see you guys soon here on 4 Verts.